My name is Lena Whitaker. I live in Tampa, Florida. For 12 years, I saved every travel point from work trips, delayed vacations, and missed holidays. My kids called it our someday ocean cruise. Then at 2:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. 1,240,000 points redeemed. Ocean Crown Cruise device, Megan's iPad. Location: Mom's house. My sister didn't know every redemption alert came to me, and by sunrise, her perfect luxury cruise was already starting to sink. For 12 years, every business trip added another handful of travel points to my account. While coworkers spent theirs on weekend getaways, I let mine grow. Every airport delay, every overnight conference, every missed holiday with my kids. I quietly told myself the same thing. Someday. My daughter Mia taped cruise ship drawings to our refrigerator. My son Evan kept asking which deck had the biggest pool. I always smiled. One day, we'll find out together. At the time, I believed nothing could steal a dream I'd spent 12 years building. My younger sister Megan thought I was ridiculous. At every family dinner, she'd laugh. "Lena, you've got over 1,000,000 points. You never even use them." Then she'd shrug. "They're just sitting there." Mom usually nodded. "She's right. Life's too short to hoard rewards." I smiled and changed the subject, because those weren't reward points. To my children, they were already memories waiting to happen. Everything shifted at Easter brunch. Megan scrolled through luxury cruise photos on her iPad. She turned the screen toward Mom. Imagine balcony suites, unlimited dining, the kids' water park. Mom sighed dramatically. "I've always wanted to take the whole family." Then everyone looked at me. Dad chuckled. "Too bad Lena never spends her points." Nobody asked whose points they were. Somehow, they'd already started talking about them like family property. As everyone cleaned up after lunch, Mom followed me into the kitchen. She sounded unusually casual. "Lena, you still use the same travel account?" I looked up. "Why?" "Oh, no reason. I just remembered helping you set it up years ago." Then she laughed. "I probably still remember your old password." Something about the joke felt strange, but I brushed it off. I wish I hadn't. That evening, Mia carried a small notebook into the living room. She'd drawn another cruise countdown. Except there wasn't a date. Just a giant ship floating across blue water. She smiled. "When we finally go." "I'm ordering pancakes every morning." Evan immediately added, "And I'm riding the biggest water slide first." I hugged both of them. Without realizing, someone else was already making plans for those points. A few days later, our family group chat suddenly became obsessed with cruises. Megan posted photos. Mom sent discount links. Dad asked about Caribbean itineraries. Then Megan joked, "Maybe I'll borrow somebody's points." Everyone reacted with laughing emojis. I didn't. Because something about the joke didn't feel like a joke anymore. The next weekend, Mom called again. Out of nowhere, she asked, "Do you still use your old email?" I frowned. "No." "Oh." I was just curious. Then she quickly changed the subject. After we hung up, I updated one password, but I didn't think about the recovery settings. That tiny mistake would cost me almost everything. A week later, Megan announced she was planning a luxury family cruise. She acted unusually confident. "We're finally doing it." Mom clapped. Dad immediately started talking about excursions. I quietly asked, "That's a pretty expensive trip." Megan smiled. "Don't worry. I've got it handled." Something about that smile stayed with me. That night, Evan asked, "Mom, are we still going someday?" I sat beside his bed. "Absolutely. I've been saving for too long to give up now." He smiled. "I knew you wouldn't forget." Neither of my children knew someone else had already decided they weren't coming, At exactly 2:13 in the morning, my phone vibrated on my nightstand. Half asleep, I reached for it. One notification, then another, then a third. 1,240,000 points redeemed Ocean Crown Cruises. Device: Megan's iPad location, Mom's house. I stared at the screen. I didn't call anyone. I didn't move. Because before I could even process what I'd lost, another notification appeared. I didn't call my sister. I didn't call Mom. Instead, I opened the loyalty app. Every redemption was listed in perfect detail. Balcony suites, priority boarding, premium dining, spa package, ocean excursion credits. My hands tightened around my phone. This wasn't a quick mistake. Someone had planned every upgrade before redeeming my points. I opened the security section of my account. There it was. Recent device: Megan Whitaker's iPad first login, 2:07 a.m. Points redeemed, 2:13 a.m. Logout, 2:18 a.m. 5 minutes. That was all it took to erase 12 years of saving. At least, that's what they thought. I checked my account settings. My recovery phone was still mine, but my backup recovery email wasn't. It had been changed to an old email address Megan still controlled. I froze. She hadn't guessed my password. She'd quietly changed my recovery settings days earlier. Interesting, because this wasn't a middle-of-the-night impulse. It was preparation. And suddenly, I realized the redemption had started long before 2:13 a.m. At 6:01 that morning, I called the loyalty program. The representative listened quietly, then asked one question. "Did you authorize this redemption?" "No." She became serious immediately. "I'm opening a fraud investigation." She paused. "Please don't contact the travelers yet. Let us verify everything first." That sentence gave me hope. Mia walked into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. "Morning, Mom." She smiled. "Did you book it?" I couldn't answer. Instead, I hugged her, a little tighter than usual. She whispered, "Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "I'm working on something." I refused to let my children carry adult betrayal. Around noon, Megan uploaded a Facebook post. "Family cruise countdown, luxury at last." Mom commented first. "You deserve it." Hundreds of friends reacted. Everyone assumed Megan had paid for it herself. Only I knew whose dream had funded those photos. Late that afternoon, my phone rang. It was the fraud investigator. "We've confirmed unusual access," she continued. "The redemption originated from a device never previously connected to your account." My heartbeat slowed. "We're placing the reservation under temporary identity review." What does that mean? It can't be finalized until ownership is verified. For the first time all day, I breathed. Dad called that evening. His voice sounded unusually cheerful. "So, Megan finally booked the cruise." I stayed quiet. He laughed. "She finally figured out how to afford it." Interesting, because he sounded proud, not suspicious. I already understood, better than he realized. The fraud investigator emailed me a copy of the reservation. I opened it. Megan, her husband, Mom, Dad, their children, balcony suites, priority boarding, every luxury upgrade available. I searched one more time. Lena Whitaker. Nothing. Mia. Nothing. Evan. Nothing. They hadn't forgotten us. They never planned to invite us. The investigator called one last time before hanging up. "We've completed the preliminary review. If the travelers arrive at the port before this case is resolved," she paused, "our security team will meet them personally." I looked at the calendar. Boarding day was only 3 mornings away, for the first time since that 2:13 a.m. alert. I realized I didn't have to chase them. The truth was already waiting at the terminal. Boarding morning arrived. I stayed home. I didn't call. I didn't text. I didn't warn anyone. Instead, I made breakfast for Mia and Evan, while they argued over pancakes. I kept glancing at my phone. Sooner or later, someone at the port would ask the one question Megan couldn't answer. Who owned the points? At 8:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Fraud case update reservation status. Identity verification required. A minute later, another notification appeared. Primary account holder has been contacted. I smiled. Not because anyone was suffering, because the truth had finally arrived before the ship did. Mom called. I ignored it. She called again. Then again. Finally, voicemail arrived. Lena, answer your phone. They won't let Megan through. There has to be some mistake. I listened without replying. For years. They ignored my voice. Today, they could wait for mine. The fraud investigator called. I thought you'd want an update. She kept her voice professional. Your sister attempted to check in. The reservation triggered our security hold. They've been escorted to guest services. I looked out my kitchen window. Some storms happened at sea. Others started inside a cruise terminal. The investigator continued. Our supervisor asked your sister one question. I waited. Can you confirm you're the loyalty account holder? What happened? She said the points were a gift. The supervisor asked for written authorization. There wasn't any. Because there never had been. Dad grabbed the phone next. His voice thundered through my speaker. They're embarrassing your sister. It's just reward points, I answered calmly. No. They were 12 years of work. Silence. Then he snapped. You can fix this. I replied, I didn't create it. Then I hung up. The investigator paused before continuing. There were children nearby. My stomach tightened. Megan's youngest asked why everyone else was boarding. I closed my eyes. No child deserved confusion. Not hers, not mine. But adults create consequences. Children simply witness them. 10 minutes later, another update arrived. The cruise line has offered an alternative. If they still want the upgraded reservation, they'll need to pay the full balance. How much? Just over $14,000. I whispered. So the points really mattered. She answered. They covered almost everything. Chapter 29. The Internal Notes. 10 minutes later, another email arrived. From the fraud investigator. Attached. Internal verification notes. Reservation temporarily suspended. Identity confirmation pending. Account holder unavailable. Because nobody in my family knew the cruise line had already documented everything. And suddenly, the truth wasn't waiting for me anymore. It was waiting for them. I never posted online. I never defended myself. I never explained anything. The facts were already doing that. The fraud case, the frozen reservation, the verification request, the missing authorization. My phone buzzed once more. Fraud investigation, ownership confirmed. The next decision belonged entirely to me. The fraud investigator called that afternoon. Ms. Whitaker, before we finalize everything, we're required to ask, do you want to approve the redemption? I looked toward the refrigerator. Mia's cruise countdown was still hanging there. I answered quietly, no. Within minutes, another email arrived. Fraud case closed. Unauthorized redemption reversed. Reservation benefits removed. The points were officially mine again. No arguments, no negotiations, just policy. Sometimes, justice looks surprisingly ordinary. She didn't yell. Not at first. Lena, you've ruined everything. I stayed silent. She kept talking. The kids were excited. I finally answered. So were mine. The line went completely quiet. That evening, Mom called again. Her voice sounded tired. Can't this just go away? Interesting. Not. I'm sorry. Not. We were wrong. She just wanted the consequences to disappear. And somehow, that hurt even more. Rachel texted me from the terminal. Your dad paid thousands at the counter. They still lost the upgrades. The luxury suites were gone. The premium dining disappeared. The drink packages vanished. Money could buy tickets. It couldn't buy back stolen rewards. That evening, Ocean Crown sent another update. Reservation modified. Balcony removed. Premium dining removed. Spa credit canceled. Standard boarding assigned. Nobody needed to argue anymore. The cruise line had already made the decision. That night, Mia walked into my office. So, are we never going? I smiled, then opened my laptop. Our points came home. Her eyes widened. You mean, we still have our cruise? I nodded. She hugged me so tightly, I almost cried. 3 months later, I logged back into my loyalty account. Balance restored. Every single point. I searched for the itinerary Mia had always dreamed about. Ocean wildlife, dolphin encounters, marine discovery. This booking felt different. This time, it was finally about my children. When the confirmation email arrived, Mia screamed. Evan started jumping around the living room. We finally had the cabin Mia had drawn so many times in her notebook. Not because anyone gave it to us. Because we'd protected what we'd earned. I printed the confirmation, then pinned it beside Mia's old countdown calendar. That evening, I stood on the back porch alone. The points had been restored. The booking was complete. But the biggest victory wasn't the cruise. It was finally understanding something. The people who loved me would never ask me to sacrifice my children's dreams for their convenience. And for the first time in years, I stopped confusing guilt with family. 6 months later, our alarm rang before sunrise. Mia was already dressed. Evan carried the same little backpack he'd packed 3 different times over the years. As we loaded the car, Mia smiled. We're really going this time. I smiled back. Yes. And nobody can take this one away. Walking into the terminal felt peaceful. 6 months earlier, this place represented betrayal. Today, it represented a promise finally kept. The agent scanned our boarding passes, then smiled. Welcome aboard, Ms. Whitaker. 3 simple words. But after everything, they meant freedom. The cabin door opened. Beyond it, the balcony overlooked miles of blue ocean. Mia ran outside. Evan leaned over the rail with wide eyes. It looks even bigger than the pictures. I laughed. For 12 years, I'd imagined this exact moment. Reality was somehow even better. Before dinner, I unpacked one final thing, a small envelope. Inside were Mia's childhood cruise drawings, crayon dolphins, a giant ship, 3 smiling stick figures. She looked at them and laughed. I can't believe I drew these. I slipped them into the cabin drawer. Some promises deserve to travel with you. That evening, we watched the sunset from the balcony. Mia asked, "Can we take a picture?" We stood together. Ocean behind us. 3 smiling faces. I posted exactly one photo. Caption: Some dreams take longer. They're still worth protecting. Nothing else. No names, no explanations. The picture said enough. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A message from Megan. I saw your post. I hope you're happy. Nothing more. No apology, no excuses. Just 2 sentences. I looked at them for a moment. Then archived the conversation. Some chapters don't need another reply. That afternoon, Mom called. Lena, I wish things had happened differently. I looked out across the water. So do I. But not because of the cruise? She didn't answer. For the first time, she understood what had really been stolen. Trust. On the final night, Mia leaned against the balcony railing. I'm glad we waited. I smiled. Really? She nodded. If they had taken our trip, we would have missed this version. Sometimes children understand healing, long before adults do. When we returned home, I placed the old cruise brochure back into its folder. Next to it, I added our boarding passes, photos, ship map, and one seashell Evan insisted we keep forever. The folder no longer held a postponed dream, it held a fulfilled promise. People often think this story is about stolen reward points. It never was. It was about a promise I made to my children. For 12 years, I protected that promise, one work trip at a time, one delayed vacation at a time, one saved point at a time. Someone tried to turn it into their luxury vacation. Instead, it became the moment I finally stopped apologizing for protecting what belonged to my family. My name is Lena Whitaker. I live in Tampa, Florida. The cruise wasn't special because of the balcony, the ocean, or the ship. It was special because, for the first time in a very long time, my children learned that the dreams we build together don't belong to anyone else. And that's a journey no one can steal.